The clock struck midnight, and the wind howled like a warning. The station, drenched in a cold fog, felt timeless, its rusty iron beams groaning softly in the night. Only a handful of people waited there, each standing apart, lost in their thoughts. No one could explain why they had come. The station wasn't on any map, and no scheduled train was expected. Yet they all felt a strange pull, an irresistible force that led them here, as if some unseen hand had orchestrated their meeting. A chilling whistle shattered the silence. The sound was unnatural, part metallic screech, part mournful cry. Then it emerged from the mist, a colossal, ancient locomotive. Its blackened exterior bore the scars of time, the paint peeling away like the skin of a long-forgotten corpse. The train stopped with a jolt, hissing as though it were alive. The doors creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. It felt like the train was staring at them, inviting them, daring them. "Where is this train going?" a young man finally asked, breaking the silence. His voice wavered, betraying his fear. No one answered, not the passengers, not the empty wind. Then, as if summoned by the question, a conductor stepped out of the shadows. He was impossibly tall, his face obscured by the brim of his hat. His uniform was crisp but old-fashioned, from an era none of them could place. "This is the last train," he said in a voice that resonated like the tolling of a bell. "Board now, or be left behind." "Last train to where?" a woman demanded, her voice sharp but laced with unease. "To the truth," the conductor replied, his gaze sweeping over the group. His eyes, now visible, gleamed like molten metal. "It's a journey you must take. There's no turning back." Some hesitated, but most felt the pull was stronger than their fear. One by one, they boarded. The young man with the leather briefcase, the woman in a tattered coat, a middle-aged businessman with tired eyes, an elderly couple clutching hands as if their lives depended on it. The interior was eerily luxurious, velvet seats, polished wood, a faint golden glow from ornate lamps, but the air was thick with tension, like a storm brewing just beneath the surface. The train began to move without warning. The sudden lurch sent some stumbling. Outside the window, the world blurred, shapes and colours twisting into unnatural patterns. "This doesn't feel right," the businessman muttered, clutching his briefcase tightly. "Where's the landscape? This isn't Earth, is it?" "No," the conductor said, appearing once again as if out of thin air. "This is your journey. Each of you has something to face, something you've been running from. This train will take you there." "What are you talking about?" the young man exclaimed, standing up abruptly. His voice cracked under the weight of his panic. "I don't even know why I'm here." The conductor's gaze fixed on him, piercing and unyielding. "You do," he said simply. The young man opened his mouth to argue but fell silent. Deep down, he did know. The train's lights flickered, the walls shimmered, and the cabin transformed. No longer a luxurious train, it was now a hospital room. The young man gasped, clutching the armrest as the scene unfolded around him. His father lay in the hospital bed, pale and weak, his eyes filled with longing. The young man stood at the door, a suitcase in hand, his face a mask of fear. "I begged you to stay," his father's voice echoed, raw with pain. "Why did you leave?" I was scared," the young man cried out, tears streaming down his face. "I didn't know how to handle it." The scene froze, the father's face frozen in disappointment. The young man fell to his knees, sobbing. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." The conductor's voice cut through the air. "Apologies can't rewrite the past, but they can guide the future. Will you let this regret define you, or will you rise above it?" The young man looked up, trembling. The scene dissolved, and he found himself back on the train. Each passenger faced their own trial. The woman in the tattered coat was thrown into a memory of a night when her best friend had called her in desperation. She had ignored the call, brushing it off as a drunken rant. The next morning, she learned her friend had taken her own life. The businessman was transported to a boardroom where he had betrayed his closest colleague to secure a promotion. The look of betrayal on his colleague's face haunted him. The elderly couple found themselves in a house filled with laughter and light, until it wasn't. The woman watched herself turn away from her husband's plea for forgiveness over a mistake he had made. The man saw himself leaving their home in anger, slamming the door behind him. They had wasted years in silence. Each trial left them shaken, their faces pale, their hearts heavy. The train stopped abruptly, the screeching brakes jarring them from their reflections. "Where are we now?" the businessman shouted, his voice tinged with hysteria. The conductor stood at the door, his expression unreadable. "This is your destination. Step off the train and face what lies ahead." The doors creaked open, revealing a void of swirling light and shadow. It was neither darkness nor light, but something in between, alive, pulsing and waiting. "No, I can't go out there," the young man screamed, backing away. "I'm not ready." "No one ever is," the conductor said, his voice softer now. "But the truth doesn't wait. Step forward, or remain trapped by your regrets forever." One by one they stepped into the void. Each was enveloped by the light, their forms dissolving like smoke. The young man hesitated, tears streaming down his face. "What if I fail? What if I can't forgive myself?" "Then you will remain a shadow of who you could be," the conductor replied. "But if you step forward, you may find the strength to become something more." With a deep breath, the young man stepped into the light. When they awoke, they were back at the station. The train was gone, the fog lifting to reveal a clear sky. Each passenger felt lighter, as though a great weight had been lifted. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Each had faced their truth and emerged changed. And somewhere far beyond the veil of reality, the train waited for its next passengers, ready to carry them to the truths they feared most.